As we see communal tensions boil over on a range of issues in the country, the question is, what can we do to stop this country from being divided further? Today on NDTV, we're trying to unite India against hate, trying to remind everyone what this country really stands for. And joining us this evening is actor Swara Bhasker, who's currently in the United States and joining us from there. Swara, thanks so much for being with us. We're in the middle of a series of communal rows at the moment, from hijab to halal to azan, you name it. How do you see this as a citizen who's always so outspoken?
Well, I think that as a citizen and as a citizen who believes in the constitutional values of that our country was founded on, I think it's absolutely horrifying. I think it's shameful, and I think it's horrifying. And I think the thing that is the scariest is that these are citizens of our country doing this to other citizens of our country, apparently in the name of the majority religion of the country. So I think that we are at a point where we cannot blame someone else. And I think that there is not enough ways in which we can say this, that this is on us. This is on the citizens of India, and this is, more importantly, on the Hindu citizens of India, in whose name ostensibly these kinds of acts are being carried out. And again, as you're mentioning, it's not one stray incident. This is now a pattern. It's a pattern that has become weekly, if not daily. I mean, there were literally, I think, newspapers have reported that there were 7 incidents of communal violence, and it's not, I think the words communal violence don't entirely capture it. This is mob terror. This is an attempt to terrorize the Muslim community by mobs that seem to have total impunity in our country. And it's also, it is also an atmosphere of utter lawlessness. And I think that as a citizen, it makes one feel very, very worried, very scared. And, you know, it's affecting, it's coming home to us. And I want to say this, it might sound flippant, but I just want to give you an example of how it makes one feel personally insecure for the safety of the people around us. I live in Bombay and my parents live in Delhi. My driver is a Muslim, and I had to send my car a few weeks ago by road from Bombay to Delhi. I didn't send my driver in the car. It had to be driven, and I was too scared to send my driver, and certainly not alone. But finally I thought about it and I was like, it's just too much of a risk. I can't take it. What if he encounters a mob somewhere? Maybe I'm being alarmist, but the fact that I even have this anxiety, and this is me, I'm a member of the privileged upper caste elite Hindu majority. If I feel like this, imagine what is the feeling amongst the common Muslim citizen in our country. I think it's terrible, and we should be very ashamed of ourselves.
So given that, do you think that it's important at this time for more people to speak up, especially Hindus, to stand up and say that what is happening is wrong?
It was time for the Hindu community to speak up about 6 years ago. I mean, really, it was time for the Hindu community to speak up when Akhlaq was murdered and lynched to death in Dadri over a piece of meat. It was time for the Hindu community to speak up when an 8-year-old child was gang raped in Kathua. I mean, so I don't understand what we are waiting for, and when will it be enough? And again, I really want to say this, that, you know, there used to be, I remember a time when after 9/11 and so on, there was always this discourse about the fact that, you know, good Muslims must condemn, you know, the terror and Islamic terrorism and the terrorism that is taking place in the name of Islam. And there were all these debates about how real Islam is not like this. Actually, Islam is different. The message is different. And I think it's time for, you know, us in the Hindu community to have the same conversation. and to be like, are we okay with our festivals being appropriated in this manner by criminals? Are we okay with Ram Navami to become this, this completely anarchic, violent, sort of hysterical, brutal sort of display of barbarism and cruelty? I mean, I'm using big, strong words because I really want to try and convey to all your viewers and to my fellow citizens in India that if the way in which we are now celebrating our festivals is to collect in front of mosques and brandish swords and chant slurs, abusive slurs to the Muslim community, and gather in front of mosques and taunt Muslims and threaten them and, climb mosques and put the saffron flag on it, then we are diminishing our religion. We are tainting the names of our gods. We are being very, very, I mean, we are complicit in some of the worst kind of insult to our own gods and to our own religion. And there's a section in the IPC which is non-bailable and keeps getting slapped on people when they have to be detained, which is hurting religious sentiments. I think no one is hurting Hindu religious sentiments more than misguided Hindus.
Thank you for speaking to us. Our aim really was to just try and bring people together, reminding them what India really stands for at the end of the day. That's all we want to do.
I was reading an article before we spoke, and I found a quote from Justice H.R. Khanna from his book. And of course, we remember Justice Khanna as that lone, brave, dissenting voice during the habeas corpus hearing during the Indira Gandhi government. And I mean, this is a judge who stood up to the then Prime Minister of India, the then, seemingly invincible, most popular at that time Prime Minister of India. And I thought this quote was very interesting because it's really timely for us. And Justice Khanna writes that if the Indian Constitution is our heritage bequeathed to us by our founding fathers, no less are we, the people of India, the trustees and custodians of the values which pulsate within its provisions. A constitution is not a parchment of paper. It is a way of life and has to be lived up to. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty, and in the final analysis, its only keepers are the people. Imbecility of men, history teaches us, always invites the impudence of power. And I think that we are witnessing the last line being played out in India, and I think that we must rise to the occasion for eternal vigilance. The citizens of India must, and the judiciary must as well.
Swara Bhasker, as outspoken as ever, thanks very much for joining us on NDTV. Thank you.